Now, we're all familiar with the fact that Facebook has advertising. And I'm sure you, over the years, have seen all kinds of advertising on Facebook. Good, bad, and ugly that props up on your timeline. Now, Mark Darcy is a man with a mission. Facebook's Chief Creative Officer is attempting to ensure that marketers understand and create campaigns that cater to a feed-driven world. A world where no longer message trusting works, but a world where you need to draw in your target group by giving them what they want. I caught up with the man himself to get a sense of how creativity works on Facebook and the rights and wrongs of communication on this particular social networking platform. Take it away. Thank you so much for joining us, Mark. Truly a pleasure having you on Brand Equity. Very, very interesting, things happening on Facebook when one talks of creativity. But I really want you to talk to me about, how people should be looking at creativity while they're, looking at Facebook as a platform in terms of, clients. B, how are you ensuring that clients are not, pushing their messages like hardcore, right? And pulling back a little bit and learning to, let go and engage a little bit with people on Facebook?
Yeah, I mean, both of them are great questions. So I think the first thing we always say, well, there's two things we say. One is to start with people. To start with, to whom are we speaking?
Sure.
The way in which people use Facebook is they turn up as themselves. If people are looking at the news feed as a real central discovery engine of things that matter to them. One of the things we talk about with marketers is we have a lot of people on Facebook in many markets around the world. And if we have people who matter to you and your business, the question that we ask the marketer, the advertiser, is, well, what are you doing that matters to them? Mm-hmm. What is the thing that you're putting into people's newsfeed that's going to be relevant and rewarding to them?
Sure.
Now, the great news is, regardless of the business you're in, regardless of the vertical or the action that you're looking to incent and create, there's a way to reach those people in a way that can move them to fall in love with your brand in a different way, to give them new information, or in a lot of cases for a lot of our performance marketers, our direct marketers, to actually convert into action that is going to be really valuable to the business.
Tell me, are advertisers getting this? I mean, how tough is it to make them understand? I mean, there are always aberrations who'll get it, right? Who'll be fast adopters and, will work with you seamlessly and put out great creative. But I mean, 90%, you'll have a tough time getting through them.
Overall, the trend is definitely towards people thinking far more about this idea of personalized marketing at scale, of building for people, and for looking at ways they can make that connection point of in your newsfeed being the most valuable one to you and to them. One of the things we look at a lot is we have an industry that builds, we have a lot of history building for where people were, but we need to build for where people are.
Sure.
There's a translation there. That doesn't mean we throw away all the craft. Doesn't mean we throw away everything we know and love about the way we tell stories, or we build utility, or we build whatever we build. But it does mean we have to have curiosity and openness to say, if I'm in a feed-driven world, if I'm in a world where everything on Facebook is wrapped around you,
sure,
how do I connect there in the best possible way?
Yeah.
And there's an infinite number of ways we can do that. And we love to explore that with clients. And, and on anything, there's a curve. But I have great confidence that the brands of tomorrow that will resonate, the brands that will connect, both the established brands that will continue to reinvent and be curious, and the new brands that are being invented today, those are the ones that will understand this idea.
I want to talk about emerging markets and the fact that their behavior will be different because of, difference in terms of handsets, difference in terms of, internet penetration, connectivity, all of that. So if you look at emerging markets, I believe that you've launched something called Creative Accelerator for the EMs. If you can talk to me a little bit about that and how you've helped, marketers in emerging markets, do some creative stuff on Facebook, and B, a look at how you've helped multinationals really look at emerging markets through a different lens.
Yeah, a lot of that comes back to the philosophy we just have at the Creative Shop of making things and building things. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of conversations I was hearing in every room. I was hearing it from creative agencies, I was hearing it from clients. Sure. What about the emerging market potential? What about the feature phones? How does this play in the creative opportunity that we have with Facebook? It just seemed much simpler, rather than to theorize about what we could do, to actually do something. So we worked with our creative council and our client council to pick brands that they really wanted to focus on in India, in Kenya, in Indonesia and some other markets, and actually just build campaigns. And one of the things we did to make sure it happened was we did it in about 90 days. We said, we're going to really work quickly, and we're going to build, and we're going to learn. And we're going to learn, my team was going to learn as much as anybody, because we're going to go in and say what we can do. And I think some of the things we found were, in almost every market, the dual canvas of smartphone and feature phone was really relevant, often as a simple breakdown between rural areas we were going into with lower bandwidth versus maybe urban areas. It's particularly true in India. And the idea of conceiving creative concepts with the duality of building for feature and upgrading to smartphones and looking at that. But for me, one of the real things that hit home for me was, as we looked at the briefs and we worked in Mumbai with a creative agency on one of the brands, was something that's self-evident, that because the bandwidth may be constrained or the screen may be slightly smaller, doesn't mean the creative potential or the need or the complexity or the sophistication of the audience or what you're trying to do is in any way compromised. You know, people deserve around the world the most relevant, rewarding experience, no matter who they are, where they are, or what they're looking to do.
Yeah.
And I think if there's one thing we love to do, it's to work to say, and this is why we refer to feature phones, within our team creatively as a dream phone, and the way in which it can connect stories to people in this way is, if we give these extraordinarily well-scaled devices the right respect, we'll build really great things for them.
Give me a sense of, how advertisers, marketers need to think about building for a feed-driven world, right? And like you said it is really a 3-second edition, right? So how do you ensure that you plug in right?
I think it comes back to whom are you speaking. I mean, one of the big things that's going on as we transition, advertising itself transitions very much from, once you become connected, you go from a world of finite choice and limited control to infinite choice and total control. On an accelerated path.
Yeah.
And if you think of advertising in its grand and its overall form, advertising is a disruption. Advertising is, you're averting attention. It's the idea that you want to watch this and I'll disrupt you with this. The issue we have is that in a feed-driven world where I'm in total control of what I'm consuming, things we believe are shifting from disruption to discovery and making things worthy of discovery. It's what I said earlier around, you matter to me as a marketer, but there's a burden, there's a symmetry required in that relationship. Then what am I going to connect with you that's going to matter to you, that's going to be relevant to you?
Sure.
And that's as old as advertising in some ways, but
Sure.
the burden of expectation is much higher when everything I'm seeing in my feed is relevant to me.
This is awesome. Thanks so much, Mark.
An
This
absolute
is truly a
pleasure. Thank you for your time.